Hello, students going on the Washington, D.C. trip. This is Mr. Goldberg, and I'm just going to show you a little bit about what we're going to see. If you go to supremecourt.gov, you can play with this site yourself and get some information. But I'm going to go to oral arguments and courtroom seating, because we're going to be in the courtroom. If we had really good seats, we'd see this. We'll probably be toward the back of the room, but we should sort of be able to see this. This is where the attorney argues from, and the attorneys for each side sit up here, and then one side goes for half an hour, and the other side goes for half an hour. And there's a cool thing they've added on here. If you move your mouse, you can see that is Chief Justice Roberts, and then you've got Justice Kennedy. He's often referred to as the swing vote on the court, because the court has 4 more conservative members and 4 more liberal members, and Kennedy is sort of in the middle. Sometimes he's with the conservatives, sometimes with the liberals. That doesn't hold for every decision, but in general, people think of it as Justice Kennedy as the swing vote on the court. And then it goes by order of seniority. Kennedy was appointed before Thomas, and then you've got Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and Stephen Breyer, and Samuel Alito, and Sonia Sotomayor, Elena Kagan, and this is the seat that President Trump filled most recently. Neil Gorsuch will be sitting over there. So if we go back up here to oral argument, you can click on calendars and lists, and we are going to be hearing a case that's meeting starting October 30th. Let me show you when they meet, actually. Oh, here it is. So this is a calendar. The red days are argument days, so they started meeting on the first Monday in October. That's sort of traditional. And they meet for 3 days, and then they talk about those cases on Friday. Meet for 2 days, talk about those cases on Friday. So when we go, they will have met on the 30th, on Halloween, and on November 1st. And then on the 3rd, they discuss those cases. The week we're going to see cases here on Monday the 6th. And then the court will also hear cases on the 7th and the 8th. And then because Veterans Day is the 11th, they apparently are celebrating that as a holiday. So they're going to meet on Thursday as opposed to Friday. But normally you can see the pattern. They meet for 3 days, discuss the cases they heard, and then again for 3 days and discuss the cases that they heard. There's a pretty big case being heard on December 5th about wedding cakes, and whether a baker can be forced to make a wedding cake for a gay couple. So, but if we close this one up here, we are going to the session beginning on October 30th, and if we look at that, the name of the case that we're going to see, and they shift around a little bit. So normally there's 2 cases, one from 10 to 11 and the other from 11 to 12. The second case on the day we're going got taken off for some reason. So they're just hearing one case, and it's called Merit Management Group versus FTI Consulting. And if you click on it, it tells you what the question presented is. And it's a bankruptcy code issue that's pretty technical. You can read that if you want. But the reason that they're hearing it is because the 2nd, 3rd, 6th, 8th, and 10th circuits are deciding one way, and the 11th and now the 7th circuit are dividing another way. And that's called a circuit split. And so the Supreme Court tries to make sure that all the different judicial circuits are saying the same thing about the law. So this is a map that shows the circuits in the United States. We live in North Carolina, so we are in the 4th Circuit, along with all these gray states. The 3rd Circuit is Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. The 9th Circuit is California, and a whole bunch of other states, plus Alaska and Hawaii, and Guam, apparently. And then the 5th Circuit is Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi. You get the idea. There's 2 non-geographic circuits. One's called the Federal Circuit, and one's called the DC Circuit. So there are 13 judicial circuits. And in the case that we're looking at, we have conflicts between the 2nd, 3rd, 8th, and 10th. and now the 11th and the 7th say something different. So the idea is to make law about Section 546E of the Bankruptcy Code be uniformly interpreted throughout the United States. And there's this pretty cool website called SCOTUS blog. If you go to scotusblog.com, you'll find it. Or you can just do a Google search for Merit Management Group versus FTI Consulting, which is the name of the case that we're hearing. And I thought you might think it's interesting that, so they're deciding whether to uphold or overturn the Seventh Circuit opinion, and the Seventh Circuit is agreeing with the 11th Circuit, apparently. So when somebody wanted to get this case heard, they filed what's called a petition for a writ of certiorari, or nobody likes to say that, so they call it a writ of cert. And so that was filed on December 16th. The petition was filed, and then the respondent won in the Seventh Circuit, and they're saying, whoa, Supreme Court, don't take this case. The Seventh Circuit got it right. And then the petitioner gets to file a reply, and then the justices read all this material, and then finally, they did a bunch of other stuff too, but on May 1st, they granted cert. About 8,000 cases apply to the Supreme Court every year, and they grant cert in about 80 of them. So this is one of the ones that they've granted cert in. And then the petitioner files a brief. And if we click on this, we can see this is the brief, and it summarizes their legal argument down here. You can see table of authorities, blah, blah, blah. Let's just see what they start with. They have to say we have jurisdiction, statutory provisions involved. Here we go, introduction. This case is about $55 million. Right, petitioner, they're sold securities for $55 million. And so it's about money and who gets to keep money, and you can read the details of that. But they file their petition, and then the respondent files a brief that says we should win. And there are also these things called amicus briefs. These are people who agree with the petitioner. And then these are some amicus briefs of people who agree with FTI Consulting. And then the petitioner got to file a reply brief. They just filed that recently on October 6th. And they read what the other side wrote, and now they're saying, hey, here's why we should win, and here's why what they said is wrong. And sometimes you can do a reply to a reply, but now they know what FTI's argument is, and they're going to try to refute it in here. Nothing in this language suggests that the trustee can simply ignore the actual mechanics of a transaction. And again, it's pretty complicated and technical, but if you wanted to get into it and prepare, you could really read up on what's going on. But they set it for argument on the day we're going to be in Washington, D.C., and so that's the case that we will hear when we get to the Supreme Court. And if we back out to just supremecourt.gov, we go back to their main page, and you can learn about the court, about the justices, about the history and traditions, about the building, whatever you want to find out about. That's the famous front steps. We'll be waiting here. It'll be cold. We'll actually be waiting around the corner, and then you get to line up to come up this way when they let you do that. And it should be really cool. So I look forward to talking with you on Monday in room 234, and we'll just go over a little bit more about how the Supreme Court works. Thanks for watching.